Hi, this is Juliet. Today I'm speaking with folk singer-songwriter Marie Miller, who has accumulated millions of plays across streaming platforms with hit records 6'2", You're Not Alone, and her newly released single, Brighter Days. Marie has talked a lot about her music and ideas, but in this episode, we are going behind the scenes to learn about how she made it all happen. How did she land a record deal at the age of 17, perform for the Pope, and ultimately pursue an independent career? This is her bumper breakdown.
Brighter days, brighter days. So don't go and give up just yet, 'cause I know we've got brighter days ahead.
So thank you so much for talking to us, Marie. I'm really excited to talk to you about your latest release, Little Dreams, as well as your time as an artist from being in a record label and being independent. So I wanted to jump in with your time with a record label. I learned that despite being only 17 years old, you signed with Curb Records, an independent record label in Nashville, with also like Lee Rice and Dylan Scott. So how did you land that opportunity, and what made you decide to sign with Curb?
Yeah, so I was young. We actually had to go and have a judge, like make sure, because I was underage. And so my parents and I went, and they had to make sure that I wasn't being forced to do it, which I definitely wasn't being forced. I always wanted to be a performer as a child. That's, it's been my dream for so long. And so getting on a record label, especially at the time, that was about, 13 years ago, or maybe more, like almost, I'm 31. So 14. And it made sense. It was the next step in my journey as a musician. And I had some really great years, but definitely when independence came, it felt very powerful and exciting.
Right, definitely. Was there a song or EP or event that kind of led you to your first big break when you were younger?
Yes. So I had some music out when I was young, 17, and then I actually took a break from music and went to school for a couple of years, kind of just wanted to figure out, do I really want to do this? Because once we hit the ground running, it was getting busy. We had a song actually on Christian radio. And so I just knew that I wouldn't have the normal life. And so I tried to have a normal life for a couple of years, and I realized that I guess I'm just not fit for the normal life. So I went back into music, and a song called You're Not Alone was released, and that was on pop radio, and I got to open for the Backstreet Boys singing that song. And
no way.
Yeah, it was
oh
so cool. Yeah, Nick Carter shook this hand.
You've never washed it since.
Before COVID, yes, but now.
Right.
Yes, yeah. So that was huge. 6'2" was on Dancing with the Stars, so I had a song out, and that was kind of those couple things that happened around the same time. Really, it created enough of a story that we could bring it to radio and bring it to press and try to make something happen.
You were saying that you went to school for a couple years just to see if that was what you wanted to do. Like, do you suggest that all people who are younger do that, like to have that comparison to make sure that that's what they want to do?
I think so. I think that it's very hard to work in this industry. I think all industries have their major challenges. But one thing is with this is that you are the product. So I am Marie Miller, and that's a good thing, right? But when you're saying I'm Marie Miller, and what do you guys think about it? Because it's it's you, and it can be really taxing as an adult. But as a young person, like, you just have to be ready and willing. And also, I think with especially with social media and this, we want to be known, we want to be seen, and so I think some young, and I've talked to a lot of young musicians, is that they're focusing a lot more on the fame part. Like, I want to be a YouTube star, and that's okay. But really, the beauty and the importance and the weight of the glorious thing that is music itself. So if, like, you play for 5 people or 5,000 people, the heart of it was the music. And so don't focus too much on that. And it can be harder to do that when you're younger, I think. I definitely focused more on that when I was younger anyway. There's probably more virtuous people out there. But I want to be famous!
Right. Well, speaking of performing in front of 750,000 people, in 2015, you had the opportunity to perform in front of the Pope and 750,000 people. Could you describe the experience and how did this happen?
Yeah, I have really no idea how well, I do know, but it's just such a beautiful story, because it's basically the guy that was hiring everybody for when Pope Francis was coming to Philadelphia. So they're having a bunch of performers, including Aretha Franklin, Andre Bocelli, The Fray, Jim Gaffigan was doing comedy, Mark Wahlberg was the MC. And it was crazy. And the promoter's wife heard the song 6'2" on Sirius XM. And she said, I love that song. We should have this girl too. And never underestimate the power of women and their influence on their husbands. I was like, girl, thank you so much. So he called me, and I totally thought it was, I thought it was like a prank call almost. And I finally realized, and also we played for 750,000 people, but also was on CNN and Fox News. So it's pretty crazy. But the best part was, I thought, was just performing in front of, a hero of mine, Pope Francis, and he gave us the thumbs up. And so it's just the cutest thing to have a Pope give you a thumbs up. So that was the best part of it. Yeah,
definitely. And so how did this performance change and grow your fan base?
Well, what it did more than anything is that when you say you've played for a Pope, it just gets, it helps you out when you're trying to get to that small club somewhere in Toledo. And so that's really what it did. It was just a great little liner on my applications for everything I do now. So that's what I would say. More than blowing me up, it was that's what it was.
Yeah, definitely. So also, in your time working with a record label, what did you learn and what things did you like and not like about being with a record label?
Yeah, well, the great thing about a record label is that they have money and they can help you do a lot of things with marketing and recording and just having that whole team. There's so many parts to, makeup artist and people booking flights and different things. And so I was pretty spoiled. I had no idea how to do a lot of things when I got out of the record label. But the biggest thing that was hard was, even though I had a flexible, good record label, they were not those stories that you hear where they're not letting you do anything you want to do and they're forcing you to wear certain things, whatever. But we had some success with a more pop sounding song, and then their minds, understandably, they're like, okay, now you're going to do pop. But as an artist, we don't work like that. And so to me, I knew that I had to make music that was true to who I was. And so when I left my record label, I thought, I don't know what the next step is, but I know there will be music that I'm proud of. And there's going to be a lot. I play the mandolin. There's going to be a lot of mandolin in it. There's going to be lyrics that are not poppy lyrics. So I said the biggest thing is freedom. And if we're not able to create as artists with freedom, you're kind of painting with one, with your hands tied, and it doesn't really work. So.
Right. And this kind of goes back to what you were saying when you're younger, your product is your music. And all of a sudden, if you're in a record label, it's even more concentrated of what other people are feeling about your music. You have more opinions in it.
Right. Exactly.
Moving on to your Little Dreams release when you're independent, after leaving a record label, were there any key experiences that you took that made you feel more confident about doing an independent release?
Definitely. I learned so much, and I'm super grateful for what they told me and what they showed me and the traveling and the experience. And so, yes, even though there was a break and there was a fork in the road, they had been journeying with me this whole time in my music career. And so I learned basically everything about the music industry during that time. So yeah, I'm still like a little baby as an indie artist. So I'm now learning that.
But I'm sure it felt liberating to be an independent artist.
It's funny. It felt very liberating and then extremely scary. And this is where Bumper Collective has just been amazing, because here I was leaving the record label. And as I mentioned, the biggest thing is finance. You're how are you going to pay for an album and make it well and make it yours? And so Spencer came to me and, we chatted for a while, but I'll say this, it became liberating and amazing. But there was this period where I was like lying in my bed, like every day I would like have to like force myself out of bed. Cause I'm like, what did I do? Am I insane? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, that's awesome. So kind of having these key partnerships like, Bumper Collective, and were there any other key partnerships that kind of like got you, hitting the ground running again?
Exactly. Yeah. There's an incredible company called Tone Tree, and Tone Tree is a distributing company that obviously does the putting your music on Apple Music and Spotify and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But they also have great partnerships with Spotify and with Apple Music, and so with playlisting. And so I've had some really good playlist ads thanks to my company Tone Tree. So it's been great.
Going into Little Dreams, you had some really creative marketing ideas, from Homeland having an Instagram project honoring the troops, Brave New Step, you had a slideshow of fans thanking medical professions fighting COVID-19. So what were the inspirations behind these projects?
Well, I struggle a lot with thinking about my music and myself, and I'm so afraid of what people think of me, right? And I, to a fault, where I'm just, and maybe everybody is, I think sometimes in particular, I am just like deathly worried about like what everyone thinks about me. And so when you stop doing that and you look around and you go like, what is this music for? It's for the people that I'm performing for. Like, art is not art until it has the artist, but then the listener or the viewer. And so it's really a gift for them, and it's not about you. And so when I wrote Homeland, which is about people being brave and leaving their home for the sake of the good that they've left, protecting that, whether it be, I talk about Lord of the Rings for Homeland, like it's kind of the Frodo story, like saving the world, but also, thinking of people in the military. And so it was such a gift to have listeners. They all sent in pictures of either themselves or their loved ones in uniform. And all of a sudden it wasn't about me, it was about us, and then the same with the COVID-19 slideshow, where it was so cool because listeners all over the world made these beautiful posters from, I always joke, like Brazil and, Zimbabwe, Poland, like all over the place. And I say, like even as exotic as Wisconsin. I was like, wow.
It's pretty.
Wisconsin, I think, is the most exotic place. I've only been there once, but it is so interesting. I love you, anyone listening from Wisconsin. So yeah, and then all of a sudden it was about the healthcare workers, and it wasn't about me worried about what people were thinking about me. And it's like, life is so much better when you don't do that. So anyway, so that's what those are about.
I love that. And so do you find yourself being more hands-on and creative with these marketing side projects as an independent artist?
Oh yes, definitely. I everything that I do now it's like they're all my little babies, my little dreams. They
literally.
Yeah, literally. I have so much ownership, and so it is. There's a huge difference when and two, this when you get signed as a teenager. Being a teenager, you're kind of like rebelling against even what you did. So I was always kind of like, oh, okay, I have to do this, even though it was such a great job and such a great life. And now this is something that I chose to be an independent artist for myself. And now I love it. So I'm much more invested.
I absolutely love that. An important component of an artist's income is live shows and merchandise sales. So how have you seen your private gigs and merch sales change since the Little Dreams release?
Ooh, yeah. Well, it's hard to tell you that without COVID-19 being such a big part. So I released Little Dreams on March 27th.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that terrible? It's so sad. So, no, but you know what? I think about it is that, I don't know if you've heard Taylor Swift's Folklore album yet, but I will take away from 2020 that was such a gift. And, you know, we're stuck at home. We're getting restless. This has been happening for a long time. And I think my album came when everyone was at home, and it's a lot about being brave. It's a lot about having the ability to pivot when things change. And so as much as I would love to have said that we went on this long tour, I mean, we were supposed to go to Germany and play, and there's a lot of plans that changed. So yes, but actually beautifully enough, you know, we had all the merch ready for the tour, and a lot of people were buying online, which was super cool. So, and we're doing some small private shows, outdoor things, and kind of social distance shows. But you know, it's not the same. So I'm kind of thinking of it as like, you know, March 2021 is a Little Dreams tour.
Oh yeah, and we're there,
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's so interesting to see how so many different artists are taking different paths of, you know, during COVID, right? Like there's no guidebook of how to be an artist during a pandemic. So it's been really, really cool to see how creative like you and other artists have been of still being like connected to fans. So like since going independent, how have you changed the way you engage with your fans, and how they responding to you differently?
Certainly, yeah. It's really cool because you get to know who's really listening when you have to, first of all, choose how you're going to market, because you can't just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, which is more of a record label mentality, and they have the finances to do that. And they're juggling, right? They have a lot of different artists, and they have their pattern that they've been doing forever. But then when you're by yourself, or you have a team, what's so cool is that I had this incredible team, like that made Little Dreams happen. It wasn't just me in my bedroom, you know, writing songs. I mean, it started there, but just between Tone Tree, Bumper Collective, I had a great PR company, Missing Piece. I have an amazing manager, Ellie Tate. And so it's like all this stuff had to happen, right? It takes a village, but in the end it felt so mine. And I think the fans, the listeners can tell. And they also, and you know that they're engaged because they're responding. And I think they just see the authenticity. So that's the long answer.
That's cool. No, I love that. Now, going to the original question, what did you learn from this independent release and from Little Dreams, and what do you like and are going to use moving forward?
Yeah, so I loved it. I think what I learned about Little Dreams is actually to even be more bold with where I want to go, because this is like by far the most Marie Miller thing ever that I've done, and it's been amazing. But I think I actually was slightly timid. And you can kind of hear it in the songs. Like the songs are, you know, Little Dreams is about this. It's about this man that was super mean to me about music and was like you can't do this and nobody cares. And we've always had that. There's always that person in your life that is just a jerk. And, I'm learning not to listen to those people, and it's a process, and I'm not perfect at it at all. But I think I've gotten better through this process of making Little Dreams. So I think the next album might have even a little more girl power in it.
I love it. And I think that's really cool, because if, you know, whether it's an actual person or little voices in our head, the fact that you actually did it, right? That is physical proof that you have the confidence to release something on your own. And I absolutely love that story. I think that's really cool. You know, you can always fall back on that, if anything, moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we love to feel, which is great. Feelings are awesome, but there's also that willpower to go, hey, I don't have to feel brave today. I am brave, and I'm going to make this happen. So
I love that. Oh, I love it. We've talked about your experience being with a record label as well as being independent. So as someone who's experienced both sides of the coin, what are some of the key differences between these two routes when it comes to your team, music release strategies, and creative control?
Right. They're pretty different, honestly. And the biggest part about it is that when you go into a record label, generally it's all in-house. So you get the whole you're going to get everybody, marketing, and they have their press people, they have their videographers, they have, there's some freedom, especially if you're a bigger artist that's making a bunch of money. But as an independent artist, I was able to pick, like, who's the Little Dreams music video. I mean, that's Joel Robertson, who's worked with, Justin Bieber. But it was an expensive music video for me to make, but it was my choice. And it was like, I want to make the prettiest video possible. And I love Joel. And that's something that I might not have been able to do with the record label. And so you build your own team instead of walking into a team. And so I would say that's kind of my favorite part about it. And it's made this whole experience different. And I think overall better.
Definitely. And kind of going into that, how has the fan base connection with you and your fans changed when they invest in you versus the label?
Right. Oh, it's so different. It's so different. It's really exciting because we're releasing, the first investment is coming in for the investors, because we were able to raise $30,000 in investment with Bumper Collective. And, for me to be able to say, like, they're going to get an email. It's like, hey, like, we've got some funds for you. But the ask was so easy because I knew that they knew that they knew that it was me that, that was asking for it, and not just like, where's this money going? Like, what is this? What's happening?
Right.
And so then it's way more exciting for me because I'm going to work hard for them, because these people believed in me, and that built me up. But it also makes me work because I want them to get paid back. When you have a record label, like, you don't know, it's like hard to know where the money's going. So anyway, that was a really special part of the whole thing, was knowing that, wow, like, these people believe in me. Like, they're paying money for this.
Yeah.
they think they'll get back, but they don't know that.
So we've talked about this a little bit, but in present day, you've done private gigs, you have such a strong social media presence through your latest release. Like, how else have you adjusted to COVID-19?
I've done a couple cool things. I actually gave, and I'm still doing a little bit, but I gave some private lessons for mandolin over Zoom.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really fun.
So cool.
Yeah. And it's just like really sweet because listeners bought mandolins and started playing mandolin so that I could teach them. And I don't really, like, I'm such a mandolin geek. To me, that's like the best compliment ever, is like, I play the mandolin because of you. I'm like, we're going to be best friends forever now. So I love that. I have done, I think we mentioned before we started the interview, is I have not been as good. I've been so impressed by some of my friends, how much I did a lot of live stream at the beginning. Now I'm doing more of the social distance shows. I am writing, I'm recording, which is so exciting. So I'm going to be recording some covers, and then also we're releasing a new song soon that just got a spot on MTV Teen Mom. So
nice.
I'm excited about that.
That's so exciting, though. So going into that, like, how did that come about?
It's crazy because, leaving my record label, I don't have publishing. So that's one thing I don't have right now. And it was something that we were all talking about and working on pre-pandemic. So that will happen soon. But so this awesome writer, his name's Randall, he and I wrote this song called Brighter Days. And we had no idea when we wrote Brighter Days that there would be a song that was needed so much. And it's basically just about having hope when it feels very hopeless. And so he's with a great publishing company, and they set it up for us. So yeah, so that's exciting. You never know with movies and film, TV stuff, you just they just tell you, like, you got it. You're like, whoa, when is it happening? Like, next month. Like, cool. Like, we wrote that song a year ago. That's great. So yeah.
Okay, so you have, like, the balls rolling still in COVID. That's awesome. So this is my last question. Hopefully your fans are watching this, and other people who are discovering new music can listen to your music. To your fans and supporters out there, what are things that they can do to support you and other independent artists like you?
Yeah, what a great question. And so it's so tough sometimes because there are people that are going through like a lot tougher things than I am, right? I mean, so, I have a home, I have, food on the table, I have health, and that is such a gift. And so I don't take that for granted. But in the entertainment industry, which is pretty much shut down, there are lots of things that people can do. Of course, buying merch is huge. So if you love t-shirts, you love vinyl, yeah, go and grab that from your favorite artist's merch shop online. Stream as much as you can, and just and also I've been really blessed by the interaction. So just writing it, like, there's these huge artists that can't see everything that people write. Like Taylor Swift is not going to get your DM, right? But indie artists are, and they're really going to appreciate it if you comment on their Instagram and say, like, this song really helped me today. Like, it means a lot to us. And since we're not able to hear that from you right now, out loud on the road, it's been a big gift to me. So I'd say that.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's all of my questions. And I really, really appreciated your time to talk with Bumper Collective. Congratulations on your release. That's so exciting. It's success. And I encourage anyone who's watching this to stream Little Dreams, tell your friends. It's so beautiful. This has just been a really awesome time talking to you, Marie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.